Thank you so much for coming out tonight. Appreciate your patience as we were a little bit late getting over here from central office. We do have a quorum of 4 board members. So Mr. Maybe has some special guests to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. So we can all stand.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much for that. Can you hear me okay? Yeah? Everyone can hear me all right? So we do have 2 opportunities for public comment if anybody wants to speak. The first is that we'll be in a little bit after the superintendent's report. If you have anything about tonight's agenda only, that would be the time for that. And then after we're done with the agenda, at the end is public comment for anything, whether it's on the agenda or not. The only thing we ask is that you sign in the book over there on the red table. If you do have a question, just your name and some other stuff. If you sign up there so we can do it orderly. We're going to go right to the superintendent's report, student recognition, right? Dr. Massera is not with us tonight. He's under the weather. So playing the role of Dr. Massera.
Thank you. So tonight we have, as you can see, quite a few good things happening here in the district. So I'd like to turn it over to Mr. Ritchie and Ms. Jackson to present some programs that they've been running.
Good evening. Thank you for coming. So we have a packed house because we have a lot of students that have been achieving a lot of really great things. So we're going to start off the evening with some of our students that are being recognized for learner profile traits. And then we'll go into our spelling bee winners. Oh, flip it. We're going to do spelling bee first. Spelling bee first. Okay. So recently we always do with our 4th and 5th grade students a spelling bee in the classrooms. And the students compete against one another within their class, and the finalists move on. And Ms. Craig and Ms. Bloomberg are here to tell you a little bit more details about that competition.
The Clayton Huey School Spelling Bee took place on Wednesday, January 11th. 21 finalists from grades 4 and 5 took the stage, and after 5 rounds, it came down to Ryan Dalton, Lindley Nowak, Emily Galifaro, and Kaylana Burke. Ryan was the only contestant to spell his word correctly in round 6, so he was then given a championship word in a solo round, round 7. The championship word was configuration, and he spelled it correctly, making him champion of the 2023 Clayton Huey Spelling Bee for the 2nd year in a row. Ryan moved on to the next round of the Scripps National Spelling Bee, which was an online regional bee where he competed with students in grades 4 through 8, and just fell short in moving on to the in-person regional bee. Lindley, Emily, and Kaylana all tied for 2nd place. All 4 of these students were added to our spelling bee plaque, which we'd like to share with you tonight. It will be hung in the library for years to come. All the students did a great job, and we are very proud of each and every one of them. I'd like to call them up for their certificate. Ryan Dalton. Emily Galifaro. Kaylana Burke. And Lindley Nowak.
All right, can we get up to...
Congratulations, everybody.
are the learner profile attributes. We are honoring students from 3 different months: December for knowledgeable students, January for communicating students, or communicator students, and February for caring students. I'm not going to read each blurb because we have a lot of people here. I know a lot of you have homework that you have to do, so you want to make sure you get back home, have dinner, homework, etc. So we are going to start with our students for the December Learner Profile Trait, receiving an award for being knowledgeable. There's one per grade, and they were nominated either by their classroom teacher or by a teacher within the building. These students that we are honoring, they have demonstrated their knowledge throughout the day. They ask questions, engage in collaborative work. They share information that many other students are curious about but don't know how to go about the research, such as expertise on guinea pigs. They're always insightful, they share their topics in class, and they just have an overall wealth of knowledge that they just need to share. So for our 6 students who are receiving knowledgeable, we'll pull you up one by one. If the classroom teacher is here, we'd love to have you be able to present the award to your student. For kindergarten, our first student, Anderson A.J. Clevin, and he was nominated by Mr. Rico. In first grade, nominated by Ms. Muller, Michael Ferrara. Michael was unable to attend, so we'll make sure he gets his award. In second grade, nominated by Ms. Engelhardt, Dylan Monroy Lagos. In third grade, nominated by Ms. Morensoff, Grant Hanukkah. In fourth grade, nominated by Ms. Molina, Wade Davey. And finally, our last nomination for knowledgeable, nominated by Ms. Lopez, Joshua Paolini. Congratulations to all of our knowledgeable students for the month of December. Now for the month of January, we were honoring our students who were communicators. These students enjoy participating in class and communicating with other classmates. We even have some that are able to speak a second language and communicate with those students who are new to our district in their target language. These students were nominated, some by classroom teachers, others by some individuals within our building, and being able to communicate in a school with over 600 children is a big feat in and of itself. So we want to congratulate these 6 children for being communicators. In kindergarten, nominated by Ms. Larson and Ms. Lucas, Harper Mannion. In first grade, nominated by Ms. Huey, Emma Mead. In second grade, nominated by Ms. Richard, our social worker, but a student in Ms. Bio and Ms. Sanfilippo's class, Keith Davis. In third grade, nominated by Ms. Tordo, Joseph Nunez. In fourth grade, nominated by Ms. Simone, Manny Pulizada. And in fifth grade, nominated by Ms. McInerney and Ms. Riker, Giselle Umana Reyes. And these are our students who are communicators for the month of January. Congratulations. And finally, month of February, honoring our students who are caring students. Now, it's hard to say when we have 600 caring students in our building to choose just 6 students out of that group of students, but it was tough, but these students are supportive for all of their peers. They're very kind, they help a friend in need, especially at recess or lunch. They go above and beyond to make sure their peers feel safe, especially on the bus. They work with each other when learning new languages. These are the students who will be your nurses or doctors in the future. That's how much they care about those around them. So the student nominees for caring from kindergarten in Ms. Larson and Ms. Luco's class, Mia Scafara. She's a little shy, but she's still caring. She's going to be our veterinarian. She's got a little puppy with her. In first grade, for Ms. Schmidt and Ms. Luco's class, Nora Trapasso. In second grade, from Ms. Bio and Ms. Sanfilippo's class, Isabella Webster. In third grade, from Ms. Bolo's class, Danielle Zlatnitsky. Nominated by Ms. Lenegro, our E&L teacher, and presently in Mr. Ritt and Mr. Clancy's class, Dominica Canayuya. And finally nominated by Ms. Huey and Ms. Reisenberg, and currently a student in Ms. Lopez's class, Kaylee Hayes. Congratulations to our caring students.
I never got a chance to see your face for exam function. Nice to meet you too. I mean, we've never. So, yes, I really got a chance to see you. I know.
Continuing the presentation, again, we're going to speed as fast as we can so we can get you guys home safely. We are a PYP school, for those that do not know, that stands for the Primary Years Program. And we focus on the whole child when it comes to education. So it's less than just going to school, sitting at a desk, when from student, from teacher. We are having our students be leaders of their own learning. We do this through concept-driven inquiry rather than content. And we also help build an international understanding and responsible citizenship for all of our students. Speaking of internationally minded, our students, as you can tell, are the center of the PYP framework. It involves all of our schools, the school here, Clayton Huey Elementary, the community of Central Moriches, having that international perspective. Family is integral in this whole framework, as well as the knowledge that's created, the content that's provided, and the experiences that they have while they're here at Clayton Huey. By the end of their time here at Clayton Huey, when they graduate from Ms. Lopez or Ms. Valentine's class, or Ms. McNary's class as fifth graders, we want them to think, if somebody asks them the question, who is an internationally minded person that they would be able to point to themselves as being that internationally minded person. As we just presented, the PYP Learner Profile is the foundation of the program. It runs from our level, the primary years program, all the way up to the DP program at the high school. And there are 10 attributes that we hope our students strive to maintain from now all the way until they graduate from St. Emeritus High School. There are the 10 of them here, and our goal is not to just have them displayed or portrayed here in our schools, but also displayed and portrayed at home. So we want to make sure that homeschool connection is established. So we'll be working with that to help our families bring these 10 profile attributes into the classroom, out of the classroom, into their homes and back.
So when I was talking with Ms. Jackson about the presentation that we were going to be providing, in order for it to look a little different than what we've shared with the community in the past, we wanted to share something that actually showed the changes that have been happening. And that's not something that the students really are knowledgeable about, because they only know what they know. They go into the classroom, they do the same, what the teacher asks them to do every day. But we did ask a bunch of our teachers to come and share their experiences, which we're going to ask them to come down in a few seconds, just to show you a little bit about the differences that are happening and how their teaching style has evolved from the beginning of this journey. This is something that when we first started talking about it 4 or 5 years ago, was something that was an idea, which, to be honest, at the time, I don't think any of us actually knew the journey we were embarking on. So now that we've gotten to this point and we are a fully authorized QIP school, it's something that I feel like it's important to share for a parent to know what's the difference in my child's experience now that this is an authorized school and the work that we're continuing to do day in and day out. So the approaches to learning and approaches to teaching, I'm going to give you the Cliff Notes version of it. Approaches to learning, that's the child's responsibility. What do I have to do as the student? It's approaches to teaching, what's the teacher's role? Having a clear delineation of, it's not my job to make you learn, it's your job to become a learner. So these are some of the skills that we're working on with the students in the approaches to learning: social skills, research thinking, communication, and self-management. All of those are infused now as explicit and implicit instruction throughout the day in all of our content areas. For our teachers, the major focus now becomes instruction through inquiry, where we're encouraging the students to come up with questions. We're encouraging them to participate in the learning process. So the teachers are focused on inquiry. Whoop, sorry. We have a focus on concept-based learning instead of content. Instead of having to memorize years and dates in social studies, understanding the impact of events in history and how it's going to face the future for all of us. Same thing in science, math, and reading. We focus on teamwork and collaboration. That's probably one of the major parts that our teams are going to talk about tonight. And the differentiation is still very relevant for all of our students throughout the class to make learning accessible to all of our kids. And one of the most exciting pieces, I think, is the student agency that we're seeing. Students truly taking control. They have voice, choice, and ownership over their learning. They're making choices day in and day out. I'm watching lessons every single day where kids are choosing their own groups to participate in, choosing the materials that they want to use. But I'm getting the look over here like I'm giving all the answers away to the, all right, so I'm going to move on. So what I'll do is I'm going to pass it off to my teachers. I have a couple of teachers from 5th grade, 5th grade and 1st grade to come and share some of their experience that they've seen and the work that they're continuing to do with their teams. So if we could have Mrs. Valentine and Lopez come on down. And Mrs. Huey and Miss Muller. Yeah, there's no slideshow. You're just going to share your experience. Speak from the heart.
So he kind of took our thunder away from us, but I want to say I've been teaching a long time, and I think one of the biggest changes in the way I teach is that when you walk into my classroom now, you'll see kids in groups. Some of them are doing research, some of them are working on projects, some of them are writing, but it's so different than it was years ago. Because years ago, you'd come in, everybody would be sitting at their desks, they'd all be doing the same thing, whether it was a worksheet, they'd be memorizing facts. we've really gotten away from that. And it's really, you walk into a classroom and it's more student driven. They seem to just enjoy it more, kids are learning more. But like Mr. Ritchie said, they don't know any differently, these kids. This is what they've been doing for the last couple of years. But,
Well, one of the things too is they are definitely, whether they realize it or not, given more choice in how they are showing what they know. In years past, they were all assigned the same project to do or the same format of how to show their work. And now they have a choice of how they want to display it, whether they're displaying it on a slideshow, a poster, writing a research paper, however they want to show it, acting it out, making games, whatever it is to show their knowledge. It's up to them to decide how to show it. And that I do have to say was a little bit of a shift for them. Because in the beginning, when we first tried it and said, okay, you can do this however you want, there was like silence in the room, like they didn't know what that meant. But now, as the years have gone on, they're so much better with choosing how to show their knowledge, which is great. And also, they like to share it with the younger kids. Last year, I had a student who did a slide presentation, and then she said, can I share it with the kindergarten and first grade teachers and their classes? And they were wonderful. They invited the student in and they shared the information. So it's nice that they're doing it also for a purpose to share with others.
Hi, how are you? I'm Rick Miller, first grade teacher. So one thing that we're really doing right now is driving natural curiosity and also incorporating activities that are sparking interest. So this is our first grade presentation. We're working on being reflective and I guess fifth grade. But here's our
The kids are working on it.
yeah.
Josh, where is it?
Yeah. She's my banana. So PYP in first grade, we're really encouraging students to actively take responsibility of their own learning. And we're working to guide each student, nurture their natural curiosity, and also spark interest. And we're doing this by incorporating group work, a lot of student choice, and also self-reflection. So one of the first themes that we worked on in first grade was families. So the essential question was, how can families be the same and different? These are all the sources that we used. We did a lot of research through read-alouds, reading work, online brain pop videos. And the next slide.
And we give them like as much information as we can to get them to answer this essential question.
So this was actually a reflection upon themselves, and what they did is they thought about family portrait, the holidays and traditions that they celebrate, responsibilities in a family, and they recorded all of their information on these family flat books. And then the culminating activity was to compare similarities and differences between themselves and also the other students in the classroom. And it was a great activity because not only did it serve as like a window for other students, but it also served as a mirror for students to look at themselves and self-identity, which is a big part of PYP. The next unit, Can My Life Fit on a Map? Again, these are some of the sources that we used. Boom cards, interactive read-alouds. We did the Long Island Aquarium where we actually looked at a map. And then also we started off the unit with Google Earth. So it was a really great way that the students zoomed in and zoomed out and kind of got an idea of bigger picture, and it kind of drove those curiosities. So this is an example of what we're trying to move away from, which we have, but this is very paper to pencil, show what you know, and what PYP is allowing us to do in the classroom is a lot more group work. So something like the next slide will show you how we assess compasses and cardinal directions. Yes, this is where we've come from, and this is where we're going. So basically here the students brainstorm places in the community, such as Rainbow Roll, Mr. Ritchie's office in the school, and they sorted and placed their pictures on each cardinal direction. And then and that was the collection of information, and the culminating activity was to create maps in their personal realm. and then also use a rubric to make sure that all of the components were included in the map that they created and self-assessed. Our science unit that we worked on is How the World Works. Again, we started off the unit with Long Island Science Center coming in and bringing them in the planetarium, again, to spark those curiosities. A project they did was create a Big Dipper. One student acted as the sun and the other as the Big Dipper to see the relationship between day and night.
With lots of hands-on learning.
And then last but not least, our Sharing the Planet. This is going to incorporate a lot of student choice. The students get to choose the habitat. They get to talk about the animals that live there, the water sources, the food they eat, and then they're going to design a replica of that habitat. So this is what's to come. And then it's really easy to embed PYP into social studies and science because it's very hands-on. So we're trying to find ways to get it into reading and writing. And one great way to do it is through writing. So currently we are working on how-to writing and how to teach people things. So one thing that I did with my class a couple weeks ago was the students chose what they're really good at within the classroom. They brainstormed it together. They thought about the steps from step 1 to step 5. And they then were able to take it and transfer it into their own independent writing. So here's an example of that. Yes. And then last but not least, again, we were talking about how PYP is a lot of self-assessment, and this is what we are creating. So we are creating these with students. A lot of this comes from the students, and we kind of reword it for them, so it's understandable. But they come up with how to problem solve, how to listen to group members, how to be respectful, and then they self-assess themselves at the end of the lessons and the day. And then this is our new one. Thanks to Michelle Craig for showing us this. But it's a Lego board, and it's also another way we're self-assessing. So that's just a little bit about what we're doing in first grade. Thank you.
I woke everybody up and apologize. So again, you heard the impact of what PYP is on your child. Just think about that unfamiliarity. They're coming into our school not knowing information, but wanting to learn information, and being able to take what our teachers are providing them and branch out and not be afraid to try something new is one of the many concepts and one of the many things that happen in our schools. We all know as parents that our kids always ask questions about everything. They come in with inquiring minds. So instead of shutting that down, we're encouraging them to do more research, to be knowledgeable, to think outside of the box. And here at Clayton Huey, being a newly authorized PYP school, we're enabling those students, all of our students, to be risk takers with their own learning, whether that's learning a new instrument, being a young composer and creating your own scores and presenting them, great job, Louise, to anything that they want to learn. We want to encourage them to be active learners. We go right there. So PYP at Clayton Huey with student action, agency, approaches to learning, the teaching skills, everything that we discussed in this representation, our students will be more prepared to be global citizens in our ever-changing world. So by the time they graduate from Center Merchant schools, they will be those global citizens that will be making changes for all of us and for years to come. So thank you to Ms. Craig, our PYP coordinator, who has worked beyond her hours to make sure this happens. Mr. Ritchie and myself as the administrators, making sure we oversee it. And last but not least, but most importantly, our students and our teachers. Without them, we could not be the PYP school that we are today. So big round of applause to our students in the audience, our teachers. Thank you.
Thank you, both of you. We do have quite a few presentations tonight, and we would ask, and I know the young ones are going to start getting tired and do want to get when we get to bed, but we do have some important presentations that we really would like the community to hear. They are brief presentations. We're going to present the music students next, But after that, we do ask if you can stay, please stay. We will push through these presentations as we know you do want to get home. Just a little plug for some important things that we have going on, that with a group like this, we really want our parents to hear what we're doing here in St. Riches, and some good things that are forthcoming. So at this time, though, I would like to invite our music staff. We have Mrs. Green, Mr. Conifrey, Mrs. Sotong, and Mrs. Basil here to present our music honors students.
We do not have a presentation now, but we will keep this short. I have a very short speech because we have many students to call up. So I'd like to thank the entire Board of Education, Dr. Massera, Dr. Meyer, all of the administration, especially the building level, who help us basically with the day-to-day operations with our programs. We have a total of 42 students that we're going to recognize for music, grades 5 through 12 performing music, and they're being represented of 19 different honor ensembles from basically October through, we just finished up last weekend in March. There were 19 different honor ensembles from the state NISMA Association, all state. We had all county with the Skamia people. We had the Hampton Music Educative Regional Festival. We had students that were in orchestras and bands and chorus and jazz ensembles and percussion ensembles and all sorts of other things. So it's pretty much everything that we could do. We had 42 students, and we actually had them in 65 different acceptances because some of them had multiple honors. I'm going to start with the high school, which is reversed. This way the little kids don't have to stand as long. Also, when we take the group photo, the talk is already going to be in the back. So sorry about that. This is a little bit reverse procedure. So I'm going to call them up. Alexander Bajian was Stephen Bow. Stephen was actually in 3 different ensembles. Sophia Coppola. Sophia was selected for 2 different ensembles. Alexander Emmanuel. Alexander was selected for more than 1 ensemble, but had to back up because of her own musical career, which actually took her to Broadway for a couple of weeks. Julia DePerry. I think Nicholas Gentile is not here as well, is he? Okay, who wasn't able to make it? Molly Hart is currently on stage in the high school, preparing for the musical which opens on Friday. And Jordan Duchette is also in the Sound of London at the high school right now. So I believe Hayden Jakabaski is also there. And Trinity Leonard had actually a church obligation tonight. So, Nicholas Lyons. Owen Marigolio. Gavin Merced. Not sure if he's here. Kevin Nosek. Haley Poach. Corey Rudnick. Corey is another who made 3 different honor ensembles in the state. Mackenzie Sweeney. Clara Pedens. James Taylor. And Matthew Zahn. So that's all we have for the high school, so I'm going to turn this over to Mrs. Green to call up some middle school students.
Okay, first we have Rebecca Bartha. And two honor groups, Camilla and All Counties Camilla. First we have Finley Coonan. Julia Kozo. Nora DeVoe. Alexandra DeSantis. Addison Earl. Cameron Eaton. And two ensembles, All County, Suffolk, and Korea. Then we have Chloe Howard, who made All State and Hampton Music Educators Association. Kayla Kelly. Jack Mayer, who also made All State and Hampton. Kelly Munch, who also made two Aubrey Coate also made two ensembles, All County. Kira Skip also into All State and Hampton. Jaden White also into All State and Hampton. And Ethan Zahn also into All County and Hampton. I have one more elementary school this tonight, but Lillian Zuhowski. We're going to turn it over to Ms. Basil and Ms. Sotom.
All right, I'm going to announce three of my wonderful students who just finished up Scalia this past weekend. Kaylana Burke. Allison Galindo. And Noah Shawtown. And also from Clayton Huey, we have our Scalia and All County, Charlotte Amato. And Ryan Dalton.
Picture.
If you can't see me, move a little bit so you can.
Thank you. Let's hear it one more time for our student musicians.
Congratulations to everybody in our music program and what a wonderful night presentation. This is the stuff that we really appreciate as a Board of Ed. We are going to run right into the bond committee presentation, which is a pretty important presentation for the community. It will be brief and then followed by budget. So if you could stay, we would appreciate it.
So if I can have your attention, we're gonna roll right into the bond presentation.
Ms. Lovely, thank you.
So bond committee has been meeting over the past few months. There used to be the health and safety committee. We have a health and safety committee every year, and these are the current members of that committee. That committee has expanded to a bond committee. And what I would like to do is actually introduce two of our newest members from the bond committee who are here to present some information of what that committee has been working on the past few months. So Mr. Wagner and Mr. Jordan will go through a brief presentation of where that committee is at with some work we're doing and answer any questions the board might have.
Thank you, Kara, appreciate it. I'm Rich Wagner. I'm here joined with Melissa Jordan tonight. We were asked as members of the Capital Bond Committee to come give an update to the board and more importantly, or even importantly so, our community as well. When I first joined the Capital Bond Committee, I had the same question I'm about to explain to you that I'm sure you have. What is the Capital Bond Committee? The Capital Bond Committee was formed to review, suggest, and propose to the school board and ultimately our community propositions to fund large maintenance infrastructure and improvement projects throughout the district. We've been meeting, we've had a number of times already, I believe it's either 3 or 4 meetings, and it's been a very collaborative session of meetings, a lot of people involved, and we have, through those meetings, identified a multitude of areas to include in the forthcoming bond initiative. As a committee, we feel that the decisions we've made is a very logical and measured approach to improving our district for our current students and future students as well. So at this time, I'm going to turn it over to Melissa to discuss some of the committee makeup and the details of the proposition that we plan to bring forward.
I'm not going to take the microphone, okay? Hi, everyone. My name is Melissa Jordan. I am not only a community member here, I'm a teacher in a neighboring district. I have 2 children here in the district. One is currently a senior, one is a freshman, so I've been in the district a while. Our committee was really a nice cross-section of members. We were comprised of teachers, administrators, we had some architects and small business owners on the committee. So we were really able to kind of have a nice meeting of the minds to determine what is really best for kids and what is best for the community when we bring these propositions forward. So it was really nice. We were armed with information that some of us knew that neighboring districts where kids can be tuitioned in from had some bonds passed in the area of $85 million at ESM and $35 million from West Hampton tuition. So when we sat down with this information, we really had some healthy discussions. And one thing that we and I say we, when I use that, it's just because as a teacher, that's how we taught, that we're charged is really with keeping kids safe. That's the number one thing that we need to do. So the propositions for the bond are broken up into two. And the first one can really be described as health, safety, and infrastructure, right? So when you think of keeping kids safe, you think of on the most rudimentary level, like we practice fire drills, right? But there are other things that come into play when you keep kids safe. And the things that are in Proposition 1 are things such as upgrading the PA system. And you might think, well, how is that, keeping kids safe? Well, if you have to, heaven forbid, go into a lockdown and things like that, having a functioning PA system that can access all the kids and the teachers and let them know that information is pretty important. Some other things on there include like upgrading the boiler and things like that. So at that level, Proposition 1 is really about health, safety, and infrastructure. So then we have Proposition 2, and those are really things that are going to really support the whole child. And those are things that we kind of listed, and this was kind of how we worded it, that provide supports and opportunities for the arts and athletics. I kind of say, you're really educating the whole child. And you can see tonight that we have a really amazing music department. And one of the things that are in Proposition 2 is really supporting that music department and helping it grow. And you're going to learn more about this as it comes out and more details come out. But that's really what the bond committee has been doing, is coming together, having healthy discussions, deciding what is in the best interest for kids. Some of them just need to get done from a health and safety standpoint, and other things are really going to help us and support the community and bring those tuition districts in, give us a sense of pride in our community, really give us a place that we can call home and help us compete with those surrounding districts. And we feel as a committee that we've done the best to kind of represent all of you. So that's kind of it.
Great. So what's next is we continue to meet. So our next meeting is April 20th, correct? We're still on the 20th? Yes. Is April 20th at 6 p.m. in the board conference room. Please join us if you're available and you care to participate in it. At that meeting, we're going to prioritize the final list of items for proposal to the Board of Education. That formal proposal to the Board of Education will come at the board meeting on May 17th. And that's where we will go over in great detail the items that are in the proposals, the actual numbers behind everything, reasonings, and answer all the questions that the board may have about it. So we look forward to the continued support of the board, as well as the continued support of our community to take our school into the future.
Board have any questions?
I do not.
Thank you.
Okay.
I'd like to thank our committee members. An email's coming.
Okay, never mind.
There is a date change on it, yes. I'm going to go right into a quick budget update for you. Very quick. We're finalizing budget preparation. So March 1st, we had to submit the property tax report card to the controller's office. That's by law. Even though the tax levy is not set, the board budget is not adopted. The board has not set a levy, but that information is required by the law to submit to the controller's office. So you will be seeing that information in Newsday shortly. March 29th is our next budget workshop, which we will have the program budget. It's really the meat of the budget. It's what we are doing for the kids. It's the instructional programs, our staffing, everything that we are doing day-to-day operations within each building. That will be presented at March 29th. And then April 1st, the state budget is due. So we currently have a draft form of the governor's proposal. The local house yesterday just released their proposals as well. And they are very positive, very supportive of what the governor has, and a little few changes to it. So we're looking forward to seeing what the final budget looks like so that we can finalize our budget moving forward. So our maximum levy that was reported to the controller is 4.134%. That is the maximum we're allowed to go with a simple majority vote. On February 15th was our last budget workshop, and at that one we presented, administration was recommending a 2.9% levy, which is below our maximum. But over the past couple of weeks, administration, Dr. Massara and I have been looking at the budget, and in an effort to really remain fiscally responsible, and we've been, looking at what are the board goals, what are we doing within the building, how do we continue to grow our program, maintain our program, but do it with a sound education keeping in mind the impact that it would have on the community and the taxpayers, we are looking at now a 1.97% levy in order to balance the budget. So again, our maximum 4.134. Our recommendation at this point in time is 1.97, and our final proposal will be presented at that March 29th meeting. So the overall budget that we are working on and that we have developed, it really focuses on the student mental health, security, and safety for all of our children. As we just mentioned in the bond, we are looking at larger projects with security and safety, but we're continuing to enhance what we can through the general fund operations, as well as address learning loss that we're seeing within all of our children. We have grant programs that are assisting with that, are slowly starting to phase out. So a lot of those programs we want to keep in place, so we're going to be rolling them into the general fund budget in the future years. And next year is year one of starting to do that. So again, just a quick timeline, March 29th, our next one, where we will present the program budget. April 19th is when our final budget presentation, and as well as the board proposed adoption date. May 3rd is our budget hearing, and then May 16th is the annual budget vote. Questions from the board?
Thank you.
One more quick one for you.
One more.
Just a quick update on the energy performance contract. So a lot of things we've been doing in this contract you haven't seen because it's been, little things here and there in order to save energy. The biggest project is what happened over at the high school, and that's the solar in the parking lot behind that building. So currently, we've completed a lot of the projects that were on the list. We have changed all the lighting district-wide, so the lights are much brighter. They're automatic sensors. They come on when you come in the rooms, and they do shut off after there's no movement within the room after a certain amount of time. They're all LED lighting. We have building envelope improvements. There's seals around all of our doors to prevent the loss of heat, as well as air conditioning in order to ensure efficiencies. Boiler burner controls, that's really just some controllers that are placed on the burners themselves to run a little bit more efficient. We have window film that has been placed on all the windows. You can't see it right now, but during the daylight with the sun, it prevents complete sunlight, the heat from the sun coming in, and it protects and helps keep the building warmer or cooler depending on the time of year that we're working on. Air conditioning compressor controllers have been installed, and refrigeration compressor controllers have been installed as well. Again, things that you haven't seen, you may have seen some of the lighting projects going on if you were in the building over the summer, and we finished that up in about September. So these were a lot of behind the scenes going on. Partial completion plug-low controllers. These are just certain devices that are going on all the computers and technology that will turn off computers if we forget to shut the computer off, and when we leave for the day, it will actually automatically shut it off in order to save energy. And then the big one, the renewable energy in the high school parking lot. That project's 85% complete right now. Again, if you've been up there, you will see that we are no longer using the grass to park. We are able to use the full parking lot again. The majority of the work is done as far as installation. It now is laying in the hands of PSEG. We have to do a full connection to them. They need to have an emergency shut-off switch as well in the case of an emergency. They need to be able to access that and shut it down. So at this time, it is just the request is in for them, and it's depending on when they say, okay, let's go. And speaking with the project manager, it could take up to a couple months, unfortunately, to see that happen. So we are hopeful by the summer, we are fully running solar and getting the energy savings back from that. 3 projects not started, and they will be starting soon. Energy management system is anticipated to start over the April break, and that's more just for my guys in the maintenance department in order to control temperature controls electronically. The pipe and valve installation, that is various pipes that are exposed are going to be insulated. That has to be done while students are not in the building. And then unit ventilator replacements and refurbishments that are happening up at high school, middle school is anticipated to start over the summer. Again, heat, air conditioning cannot be on when this work is being done. Everything has been ordered, so we're also just waiting for all the parts and materials to come into place. So with regards to savings, this is what we're seeing at this point in time, kilowatt hours. This is from July until now, and it's a comparative of last year versus this year. And there's a lot of variables that are coming into play depending on how cold it is, how hot it is, what air conditioning we're running, how much heat are we running. But you can really see the gist that the black line is current year, that we are starting to see energy usage going down as a result of some of these projects that we've started putting in place already. With regards to the actual cost savings, we're almost cost neutral. Unfortunately, PSEG did raise their rates. So that rate raising kind of is offsetting some of the savings, but we're cost neutral. So as you know, we're starting to see, we will see the bulk of the savings come probably fall of next year when the PV comes online. So just quick summary, I know the board was curious also to see, what are we looking at? This is just a quick graph to say it's working. And I think it can only get better at this point in time. Questions?
No.
I think that's all.
Thank you very much. You're welcome.
Now
Questions?
we have committees.
I'm sorry?
Black and white, red committee.
So our curriculum committee met recently. In that discussion, we looked over the asset funding and planning, and then we kind of generated some brainstorm ideas on upcoming parent academy sessions, as well as increasing community involvement in community events. Next meeting is April 4th.
Thank you. Questions and comments regarding tonight's agenda only? Okay. Approval of minutes. Board of Education is asked to accept the minutes of the following meetings as prepared by the district clerk. Minutes of the meeting of the board met on February 15th, 2023. Motion. Second. All in favor? I'm sorry, discussion? All in favor? Motion carries 4-0. Financial reports, be it resolved that the Board of Education, upon the recommendation of the superintendent of schools, accepts the following financial reports: internal claims audit report, February 2023, treasurer's report, January 2023, budget transfer, 1 page. Motion. Second. Discussion. All in favor? Yes, motion carries 4-0. Appointment to tenure. Recommended action that upon the recommendation of the superintendent of school, the Board of Education approves the tenure appointments of the following individuals: Dennis Ritchie. Motion? Second? Discussion?
Yes, I definitely would like to say a few words about our elementary principal, Mr. Ritchie, Dennis Ritchie. I think tonight's event started with the elementary school, and I think some of the presentations spoke to some of the merits that we're looking at in terms of tenure for Mr. Dennis Ritchie this evening. I just wanted to speak briefly about Dennis's journey with the Southern Richard School District. Dennis began his tenure in the district as an assistant principal at the elementary back in December of 2017. So he's been with the district now for almost 6 years. And he worked under our principal at the time, Ms. Kim Hardwick. And unfortunately, I think the community knows that we faced a terrible tragedy on April 15th of 2019, where at that particular time, we did lose our beloved elementary principal, Kim Hardwick. A day later, the Board of Education at the time had an emergency meeting where we appointed Mr. Ritchie to take on that responsibility as the building principal. His first day as that building principal was April 18, 2019. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because normally we have tenure meetings in June and we celebrate everyone together. But since at the time when he took over as the interim principal, or the acting principal, back on April 18th, we conducted an interview process. He was then appointed as the principal on July 19th, 2019. I don't know what the date was. July 19th, 2019, and so his performance or his work was concurrent. So it was back to back, so we were able to utilize that time that he worked as the acting principal towards his tenure. So his actual tenure date is April 17, 2022. So I just wanted to add that information for the community. The other piece, so Dennis had a very interesting few years as a building principal. Unfortunately, a year later, COVID. So he had to navigate the elementary school through a remote learning plan. And he was very instrumental in like developing that plan. I still remember looking at the plan with the full administration, and Dennis always had comments. He had things that he wanted to add, things he wanted to change. And I'm like, great. So we finalized the plan. 2 months later, he organized the Caravan of Care, which I think some of you may recall. We all got together in cars, we drove through St. Richard's town, and it was a way for us to sort of unite the community and remind the community and our students and our teachers and our parents that we are all united in this crazy situation that was COVID at the time. So Dennis organized that. That was great. Thank you for organizing that, Dennis. We appreciate all the work you did with that. So then a year later, unfortunately, in February 2021, we lost another beloved colleague, Ms. Kate Evans. So Dennis, once again, had to be the rock to his building, had to be the support to his teachers, to his to students, to the community, and he had to be that level of support and that strong voice that said, we're going to get through this and we're going to get through this again. And I still remember that, Dennis. It was so inspiring. All the work that you did regarding Kate and your staff. So thank you for that as well. The last few years, I think we saw at the beginning one of the presentations regarding the PYP, the Primary Years Program, in relation to the International Baccalaureate authorization process. For those of you who don't know, it's a very tedious, long process. There's a lot of time, I'm being honest, there's a lot of time and energy that you have to dedicate. So Dennis was able, with, of course, with Ms. Jackson, which you've done a tremendous job assisting with this, and of course his teachers and everyone involved in the process, to sort of spearhead and to make sure that we sort of close the loop. Now we are an IB school, K-12. So thank you once again, Dennis, for that. So we can talk all night, and I know that you guys have been very patient with everything that you watched. And the talk did an amazing job. So great for those last three presentations. But I think that looking at the work that Dennis has done, the work that Mr. Ritchie has done, is really commendable from my perspective in terms of it's inspiring, Dennis. I watch you as an educator, as a leader, leading the building, but leading from a place of compassion, leading from a place of collaboration. I see your teachers here supporting you. I see parents here, your beautiful families here supporting you. Fellow administrators are here supporting you. And we thank you for your service, for your dedication to the St. Richard School District. And as a result of that, we are, on behalf of Dr. Mazzara, I am strongly recommending the tenure of Dennis Ritchie as the building principal of Clayton Community Elementary.
Not official. All in favor? Yes, motion carries 4-0. Who's first?
All together, ready?
Okay.
1, 2, 3.
gonna do the woo.
Everyone sing Baby Shark.
So on the end board that Mr. Ritchie, I think six years ago, April,
December 14th.
at 12:08. I think it was a little bit of a leap of faith as you were young in your career. There was so much potential, and you have rewarded us every single day with your hard work and dedication. So I know it's a long time to get here, and the things that Dr. Soto spoke about that we all went through, that you led the community and the children and the staff through with great empathy. I'm very pleased to be sitting here to give you great tenure tonight. I'm glad I was still on the board to vote for that, and that you got your pen. Congratulations, well earned, well deserved.
Appreciate it, thank you.
You're welcome. Donations. Be it resolved that upon the recommendation of the superintendent of schools, the Board of Education accepts the following donations. Brookhaven Cluster of Suffolk County Superintendents Association, $500 for scholarship. Motion? Second? Discussion? All in favor? Yes. Motion carries 4-0. Consent agenda approval of all consent agenda items as presented. Be it resolved, the motion to approve the consent agenda items 9A through 14C. Motion? Second? Discussion? All in favor? Yes. Motion carries unanimously. Yep, that brings us to general public comment. If you have anything that you'd like to share with the Board of Education, you do ask that you keep your comments to about 3 minutes. If you have a group, if you can appoint a spokesperson, the letter to be read, and service. I'm not going to wait very long. Huh? No? Okay. We do appreciate everybody staying tonight.
No, it's for any, yeah, I'm Kristen Deb, how are you? Congratulations, Richard. My kids are cast on it as well. I have a few questions regarding, sports. So the first one is, does the school have a code of conduct, as ethics for coaches? Or do we follow the section as code of ethics for coaches? And, how are problems addressed if one coach doesn't follow the rules?
So I think that question would be best directed to Mr. Toad, our athletic director.
I've been trying to reach him, trying to set up meetings for a few weeks. He hasn't been available, he's out sick, and I never heard back, so here I am. And I'm hoping to get an answer from you guys. I have talked to him about the next thing, I haven't really had an answer, but I'm hoping to get an answer from you guys about that specifically. Please.
Sarah will give you a call tomorrow.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
It's also good, I've asked, and I think I was supposed to wait and see what the board, I don't know where you guys are with this question, but is there an opportunity to help to edit and rewrite the code of conduct and, for the kids and student athletes and coaches, for parents and community members to help do that?
Is that, Dr. Sarah can address that with you as well.
Okay, thank you. And the second question is, the coaches and teachers also have to follow the 0 tolerance rule for drugs, specifically controlled substances. So if there's a coach or a teacher who has is on a prescription, I know marijuana is legal now, are they allowed to partake and indulge in, say, edibles, meaning infused gummies or cookies or whatever, on the sideline or in class? Are they allowed to do that? And if they're not, how do you know if they are? When a parent tells you, if it's hearsay, will you test them? Will you test them daily? Do you test them weekly? How is this? I don't even know what the rules are with New York State Department of Education, with the State Department of Labor. I have no idea, that marijuana is legal. I do know that you can partake in whatever you want when you're off school grounds as a teacher or a coach, but specifically on the sidelines as a coach, eating a gummy that's infused with marijuana. How is that handled? and the parent says that you haven't seen it, how's it handled when a parent tells somebody? That's the question. I know it's a lot. That's
Right.
a lot, but that's my question.
And these conversations and questions will be best served to Dr. Massaro.
I didn't know he would be here, so I.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he was intended to be here. He is actually watching the meeting live stream from home. Unfortunately, he is quite ill right now. But we will follow up with him tomorrow. Likely he'll be better to come into work tomorrow, and we'll get back to you on and try to help you out with some of those questions.
Thanks, I really appreciate that. And the last question, I'm not sure if there's any way, but is there a way to guarantee protection of anonymity of a parent or a student who's making a complaint so that there is no retaliation to the student later? So, it's March, I have a senior, and I'm bringing this up now for a reason,
Okay.
all right?
Yep. Did you sign that? You signed it? Oh,
I
okay,
did
great.
sign it, yes.
Yeah, and Dr. Massaro will be in touch with you.
Okay.
All right?
Thank you very much.
Oh, you're very welcome. Thank you. Next Board of Ed meeting will be a budget workshop only, so we won't be taking any action at the workshop, Wednesday, March 29th. And then executive 6, and then the action meeting will begin at approximately 7 in the board room as of right now. Motion to adjourn? Second? All in favor? Yes, motion carries. Thank you very much for coming tonight and staying.